had read some of her books. She was very interested in interiors, and she worked very closely with an architect named Ogden Carver, who was a Beaux-Arts trained architect, and she wrote the book, The Decoration of Houses. And that's been reissued recently. Also, she is known for, and I'll show you pictures of the house that she created for herself. But read what she's talking about. Only a return to architectural principles can raise the decoration of houses and architecture itself to the level of the past. Now, what's that saying? That's saying we have to go back to the past. It's better than what we do now. She wasn't looking about going back to Greece and Rome. She and most of the people I'm going to be speaking about today were talking about 18th century France and England. That is considered where you go to have good design. And don't forget that this is in the time of Victorian design. All the bad things about the Victorian era, when we have too much decoration, when we have dark colors, when we have lots of clutter, when we have clashing patterns, and overwhelming, almost suffocatingly busy interiors. This is the kind of interior, what her mother's house looked like. And this is the kind of thing that she did to clean it up. And what you see, the difference is, it's not as though we're going modern. And we had something very interesting came up. You always get the benefit of the afternoon class. A student in a couple of things, not for this image, but said, well, what's modern about that? And I realized, in your thinking, because we are now, when I say a modern interior, you think of an interior furnished with, Bauhaus furniture, very modern furniture. At that time, being modern might mean just cleaning it up, painting some of the furniture white. It's throwing out what had previously been there. This is her house in Lenox, which is, I don't know, Tom, do we want to say a mansion? Not that big, but it's a pretty, well, but I mean, it's not 200 rooms. You looked at Biltmore Estate and then the Breakers last time. But it's a lovely house. It was taken over, and Foundation runs it now and raised money and has done partial restoration of it. And she's got lovely gardens there. You can go up and visit it. And they've restored a couple of rooms. And then the other rooms are, sometimes last summer or 2 summers ago, was given over to the show house. So some designers decorated the rooms in the style of Edith Wharton, which is, if you see, it's 18th century France with a lighter touch. And this was a room that either David Easton or Bunny Williams did. I cannot remember which designer. But this was supposed to be recreating the feeling of her style. So it was using lighter colors, it was mixing a few things, and obviously she wouldn't have marble painting on the wall. The person who was regarded as the founder of the interior design business, the decorating business, I'm going to try and use that word, was Elsie de Wolfe. Now, who of you have heard of Elsie de Wolfe? None of you? Okay, by the time you're finished with this school, because even other classes, not the history class, make some reference to her. But that's the reason why I thought we have to have a lecture on it. She's the first person who called herself a decorator. She was really interesting. Oh, nobody was trained for a long time. But, architects weren't trained until the late 19th century. Interior designers weren't changed until into the 20th. She was an actress in apparently some sort of superficial drawing room comedy plays. She was sort of social, but not wealthy. And she traveled in good circles and dressed very well. And apparently her reviews for her shows, comedies, not shows, for the plays she was in, her reviews tended to concentrate on how well dressed she was, because she used her own clothing instead of the costumes. And so this got her known as a woman of some taste. And in 1904, she decided to type up business cards, she printed business cards and called herself a decorator. So she was traveling in pretty Tony circles, and she had taste, and you liked the way she dressed, so you'd say to her, would you help me do my house? That's how she started her business. She had some good connections, And as I said, the connections helped her develop a clientele. As happened, wait a minute, up until even now, where do you get your business? If you graduate from school and you open your business, you are opening it because you think you know enough people, or they know enough people, or they know the people who know people. That's how you get clients. You know, most designers, you don't run ads. You get publicity later, you publish a book, you try and do other things. So this whole business started and got a reputation for being very elitist because it was wealthy or well-connected people decorating for their friends, who were the people who cared about what their houses looked like and who could afford the things that they bought for it. She lived her life for a great long time with a female partner. Elizabeth Marbury was a literary agent and a very successful one, and they lived in this house. You see the newer photo up there. This is on the southeast corner of Irving Place, facing Gramercy Park. It's just a couple of years ago, it was turned into sort of an upscale bed and breakfast. It's small, and you can have tea there. Expensive tea, but I had tea there once. And they call it, you know, I don't even know, maybe it's called Marbury House or something. But she lived, not always in a very modern style, but I want to show you a bit of a theatrical type. And these next two photographs, this before and after, is very famous in a lot of design history books. The way her dining room looked in what was then at the end of Victorian age, and what she did to clean it up. And you see the before and after. And what she did was paint all the furniture white, took all the stuff down off the walls and put a few larger scale things there. She put striped wallpaper. They weren't into white walls yet. This was very modern. This was very modern, as I said, not in the sense of having modern furniture, but in the sense of eliminating all of the clutter that was customary for the time. And she decorated it again, just still changing and adding more variety of style and putting more pattern back. This one you don't see as often. You see the original before and after a great deal. Just to show you some more of how she lived. Now these are not images, as I said, they're not images you're going to remember. They're not going to say this is Elsie Wolf style. Maybe you'll remember the before and after of the dining room. The rest of them are just to show you what people were living like then. This is very well known. She took, through her connections, one of whom was Stanford White, the architect, the partner in McKim, Mead & White, which the Beaux-Arts graduate, who did a number of buildings around New York, buildings like the Metropolitan Museum, or buildings that are credited to McKim, Mead & White look. He was asked to do the Colony Club. The Colony Club was a very social, very upscale private women's club. The equivalent I was trying to decide for before of the Union Club or the Metropolitan Club, but very wealthy society people belonged to it, women. So that this was a place where there would be good prospective clients for her. Stanford White invited her to do the interiors, and this was a very advanced idea. I mean, not more modern, a very original idea. This is an indoor space that she covered in green and white trellises, which are usually used outside in gardens. And it created the effect of an outdoor room inside. This was very well received. The project at the Colony Club got her more business, and she was off and running. This was done in a model house. This is just to remind me to tell you she did a show house. This was in 1917, I think, 17 or 19. Designers now do show houses, but there are three ways that designers really get business. You get business through referrals, sometimes satisfied clients or people you know. You get business through something like a show house, which is a public demonstration of your work. Or, you know, sometimes a designer will do, you'll do a store window, you'll do a public display, you'll do some sort of visible showing of your work. But that costs you money. Okay, you do a store window, that doesn't cost you money. Show house costs you a lot of money. Designers do books. Any of the books that you've seen these days from designers probably cost the designer money. These are the recent ones. 10 years ago, no, the publisher would have paid for more of it. Now with publishing suffering because people are reading online and not buying books, publishers are asking the designers or the authors. For instance, I mean, I turned down one book proposal because they wanted me to pay for photography. And you know, that's the way it goes now, so that the designer books that you see now are mostly paid for by the designer, the photography being the very expensive part of it. Why do they do it? Well, one designer said to me, it cost me about $70,000, but all I need is one good job. You know, it's two things. You pay for the photography and then you promise to buy X number of books. That's the other thing. I mean, if it were me, they don't ask me to buy the book, they ask me to find somebody who will buy the book. And so, but if you buy the book, you're then giving it out as a promotion piece. So as I said, you get one good job. I'm telling you about this because this is a reality of the business that you're going to get into, but it also explains why you take advantage of every opportunity to do something like, okay, today a designer I know invited me, and I